My friends, let us begin with a paradox. You have touched the infinite. You have glimpsed the soul beneath the ego, and yet, you feel lost, empty, unmotivated. Why? Because the light of awakening often casts the longest shadow. Let me speak to your soul today. Not your mind, not your ambition, but the ancient self within you that remembers who you were before the world told you who to be. When one experiences a spiritual awakening, the first sensation is often not joy, but a deep and inexplicable grief. Many are confused by this. Shouldn't I feel alive, awakened, empowered? They ask. But the soul knows something the ego does not. Before something new can be born, something old must die. And what dies is not just any part of you. It is the identity you've carried your whole life. The image you projected to the world. The voice in your head that told you what to want, what to chase, and who to become. That identity, built by brick from childhood experiences, societal expectations, and ancestral patterns, begins to crack and crumble under the weight of awakening. It is not a comfortable death. It is slow, disorienting, and deeply personal. You no longer recognize the person you were, but you do not yet know who you are becoming. Your old desires fall away like autumn leaves. The things that once excited you now feel hollow. You try to return to them, to your ambitions, your routines, your former passions. But they no longer fit. Like a snake outgrowing its skin, your soul is shedding its past self. And in this shedding, you may feel numb, aimless, and even unmotivated. But this is not a sign of failure. This is the sacred silence of transformation. The ego mourns because it cannot see beyond its own death. But the self, the deeper, eternal part of you, knows that this is not the end. It is a necessary unbecoming, a dissolving of illusions so that something more authentic can rise from within. This is what the mystics meant when they spoke of dying before you die. It is the initiation into a new way of being, one that cannot be achieved through willpower or discipline, but only through surrender. You are not lazy. You are not lost. You are grieving the loss of who you thought you were. And grief is not weakness. It is the soul's reverence for the parts of you that served their purpose, but can no longer follow you forward. The reason you feel no motivation is not because you lack drive, but because your old motivations no longer resonate with the deeper truths you've touched. You are in a liminal space, between the death of the false self and the emergence of your true nature. Honor this death. Do not rush to resurrect the ego or fill the void with distractions. Let yourself be still. Let yourself mourn. Let the ashes settle. Because from this death, something magnificent will be born. Not a new mask, but your truest face. And that face will no longer chase meaning. It will embody it. Certainly. Here's a more extensive and contemplative expansion of The Void is Sacred. Written in the philosophical and psychological tone of Carl Jung. After the death of the old self, what follows is not immediate rebirth. No, the psyche does not work in such linear simplicity. What comes next is a silence so profound, a stillness so vast, that many find it terrifying. It is the void, the great in between, the space where the old has dissolved and the new has not yet taken form. This is the part of awakening that no one prepares you for. You've glimpsed the eternal. Perhaps through meditation, a mystical experience, a breakdown, or a moment of profound insight. And now you find yourself floating, unmoored, without direction. The world continues around you. People rush to fulfill roles and chase ambitions, but you are no longer able to join the race. It is as though some invisible part of you has stepped back from the stage of life, and in its place, there is only silence. This silence is not empty. It is alive, but in a way that cannot be measured or grasped. It has no answers, no formulas, no promises. It offers nothing to the ego, and yet everything to the soul. Many people misinterpret this stage as depression or disconnection. They try to fix it, escape it, or numb it. But this void is not a problem to be solved. It is a mystery to be honored. It is not evidence that something is wrong. It is evidence that something sacred is unfolding. Slowly, patiently, inwardly. In ancient myths, this was the descent into the underworld. In Jungian language, it is the confrontation with the unconscious. You have left the surface and descended into the depths of your being. You are no longer living from reaction, habit, or conditioning. You are being invited into something far more radical, to sit with the unknown, to let go of doing and begin the deeper process of being. But the ego rebels. It wants to fill the silence. It wants noise, goals, a to-do list, anything to avoid the discomfort of this vast openness. Yet if you resist the void, you will return to the same cycles that bound you before. The soul does not speak in urgency. It speaks in whispers. And only in the quiet of the void can you begin to hear it. Here is the great paradox: this absence of motivation, this strange stillness you feel, is not the absence of growth. It is the soil in which true transformation takes root. It is the sacred womb of rebirth. Just as the seed must break and dissolve in darkness before it becomes a tree, you too must allow this period of inner dormancy. The void is not empty. It is pregnant. It is filled with potential that has not yet taken form. If you can remain here, if you can resist the temptation to flee or fill, you will begin to sense subtle movements in your soul. New desires will begin to stir. Desires not born from fear or ego, but from a deeper knowing, a more authentic rhythm. So trust this space. Trust the darkness. Trust nothingness. For it is not nothing. It is the sacred breath between death and rebirth, the pause between the inhale and the exhale, the place where your old story ends and your true story begins. You are not falling behind. You are falling inward, into the place where the divine reshapes you, not in the image the world wants, but in the image your soul has always known. Certainly, here's a rich and reflective expansion of false purpose has fallen away. In the spirit of Carl Jung's depth psychology and soulful insight, one of the most unsettling aspects of awakening is the quiet collapse of everything you once thought gave your life meaning. Not through drama or destruction, but through gentle, undeniable clarity. What once inspired you, climbing ladders, gaining recognition, pursuing wealth or status, now feels strangely hollow. The ambitions that once lit a fire within you no longer spark anything at all. You try to force yourself to care, to pick up the old dreams and breathe life into them, but something in you refuses. It is not laziness, it is not depression, it is the death of false purpose. You see, most of us are initiated into life with goals that are not our own. We inherit them from our parents, from culture, from survival instincts. We're taught to want what the world rewards: success, appearance, approval, control. These goals give us structure and momentum, but they often lead us far from ourselves. We build identities around them, power years into chasing them, and for a while they work. They keep us moving. They give us something to strive for. But after a spiritual awakening, the veil thins. The unconscious speaks more loudly. The soul begins to assert itself, and what was once blindly followed begins to feel artificial, exhausting, meaningless. You may look at your life and wonder, why can't I go back? Why don't I care anymore about things I used to crave? And this confusion can feel like a personal failure. But in truth, it is one of the most sacred signs that you are beginning to awaken to your true path. You are not unmotivated. You are unwilling to lie to yourself. You can no longer pretend that the game matters. When you've seen the truth behind the curtain, you can no longer pursue validation. When you've realized that nothing external can validate what is infinite within, you have tasted authenticity, and the taste has ruined your appetite for imitation. False purpose is not evil. It served you once. It gave you something to hold onto in a world that demands constant striving. But now, your soul is asking for something real. Something rooted not in image, but in essence. This in-between space, where the old motives have died but the new ones have not yet formed, can feel unbearable. You may long for the old clarity, the comfort of goals, even the distractions. But to return to them would be to betray something sacred within yourself. This is the time when many feel tempted to give up or go back. But do not confuse lack of drive with lack of direction. You are not lost, you are being rerouted. Your compass is recalibrating, not toward a destination the world approves of, but toward one your soul recognizes. And here is the challenge: the new purpose will not come from the outside. It will not come wrapped in titles or applause. It will come as a quiet knowing, a pull toward something humble, simple, real. It may be the desire to heal, to create, to serve, to love with depth, to walk with truth. But it cannot be forced. It must be revealed from within. So in this time of stillness, honor the shedding. Trust the wisdom in your resistance to the old ways. For when false purpose falls away, it clears space for something far greater than the purpose you were born for. Not to impress, not to perform, but to become whole. And from that wholeness, everything else will follow. Not as striving, but as a natural outflow of your being. Certainly, here's a deeply expanded version of Integration Takes Time. Written in a grounded and introspective Carl Jung-inspired style after the initial spark of awakening. Many imagine that life will instantly change, that clarity will arrive, purpose will crystallize, and peace will become permanent. But the soul does not move at the speed of thought. It moves like nature, slowly, cyclically, seasonally. The truth is that awakening is not the destination, it is the doorway. What follows is the much longer, more demanding, and often overlooked phasing integration. Integration is where the real work begins. It is where insight must become embodiment, where what was seen in flashes of light must be brought into the darkness of your ordinary life. It's one thing to have a mystical experience, to see through the illusion of ego, to touch something divine. It's quite another to live that truth in your relationships, your habits, your words, and your work. This is where many falter, not because they lack wisdom, but because they lack patience. You see, spiritual insights descend quickly like lightning, but they must be digested by the psyche over time. The ego, frightened by the change, will try to hijack the process. It will say, hurry up, get back to work, be who you were. But you can't be who you were. You're not who you were. And you're not yet who you are becoming. So you find yourself suspended between two worlds. What Jung called the enantiodromia, the shifting of opposites. You are carrying divine revelations in a very human vessel, and that vessel needs time to adapt. The nervous system needs to regulate, to quiet. The body needs to adjust. You are rewiring how you perceive, how you relate, how you are, and this takes time. It takes time to translate awakening into action, to find the words for what once felt ineffable, to move from knowing the truth to living the truth. Many people expect motivation to return quickly. They expect the new life to arrive fully formed. But this is not how transformation unfolds. First comes disorientation. Then, slowly, piece by piece, the inner and outer life begin to realign. Think of a tree struck by lightning. For a moment it is illuminated, changed, awakened. But then what? The roots must deepen. The bark must heal. The tree must continue growing, slowly, subtly, integrating the fire it has received. So if you feel unmotivated, Jung-inspired, or unsure in this phase, know that nothing is wrong. You are not stuck, you are integrating. And that is a sacred process, one that cannot be rushed. In fact, it is in the slowness that the deepest changes occur. The self does not want you to return to the old life. It wants you to build a new one. But one rooted in authenticity, in presence, in soul. Jung often spoke of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming who you truly are. Integration is the heart of individuation. It is the slow and often unseen process of harmonizing the unconscious and the conscious, the divine and the human, the shadow and the light. It is not glamorous. It doesn't always feel spiritual. Often, it feels like doing laundry, setting boundaries, resting when you'd rather push, and learning to listen deeply, quietly, to your own inner rhythm. So let go of the idea that transformation should be quick or linear. Let go of the shame that tells you you're behind. You are not behind. You are in the most crucial stage of your growth. The caterpillar does not become a butterfly the moment it enters the cocoon. It dissolves completely. It becomes unrecognizable, even to itself. And in time, a new form emerges, not through force but through natural unfolding. So be gentle with yourself. Honor the time it takes. This is not stagnation. It is sacred gestation. And what is forming within you, patiently, quietly, is more real, more true, and more alive than anything you have ever been before. Absolutely. Here is a rich, introspective, and motivational expansion of You Are Becoming the Alchemist, in the style of Carl Jung, bringing depth, transformation, and soulful empowerment. If you have made it this far, through the death of the old self, through the silent vastness of the void, through the falling away of false purpose, and through the slow unfolding of integration, then something extraordinary is already happening within you. Even if you don't yet see it, even if it feels like nothing is moving, there is a sacred truth being forged in the deepest chambers of your being. You are becoming the alchemist of your own soul. The ancient alchemists were never merely concerned with turning lead into gold. That was only the outer symbol. The true task was inner. It was about transmuting the dense, unconscious material of the psyche into something radiant and awakened. Something conscious, noble, and divine. Jung understood this deeply. He saw alchemy as a metaphor for the psychological and spiritual journey we all must undertake. The journey of turning suffering into wisdom, wounds into strength, and darkness into light. You may feel empty now, disoriented, without drive, that stillness. A fire is slowly being lit, not a fire of ambition or performance, but a fire of presence, of truth, of purpose born not from fear, but from the depths of your soul's knowing. This fire will not push you. It will pull you. It will not shout. It will whisper. It will not command you to chase. It will call you to become. You are being asked now to look at your life, not with the eyes of the ego, but with the eyes of the alchemist. Every emotion, every loss, every period of confusion is not an obstacle. It is raw material. It is prima materia, the base substance that must be worked with. The darkness you are feeling now is not punishment. It is the lead. And lead, when honored and transformed, becomes gold. But this process takes a different kind of courage. Not the loud, performative kind. The quiet, steady kind. The kind that says, I will stay with myself, even when I don't understand. I will not abandon this moment, no matter how shapeless or strange it feels. I will trust that something meaningful is being made of me, even in the silence. The alchemist does not rush. They wait. They observe the transformation with reverence. And so must you. You are being shaped now into someone who does not rely on outer rewards to feel worthy. Someone who is not enslaved by image, or applause, or urgency. Someone who is rooted in something deeper. Call it soul, self, or essence. And from this place everything in your life begins to change. Your relationships deepen. Your work becomes more aligned. Your path, though still uncertain, begins to feel more honest. You may no longer need to be someone. You are learning to become yourself. And that, ultimately, is what the alchemist seeks, not perfection, not enlightenment as a fixed state, but wholeness. The integration of every part of the self. The shadow and the light. The broken and the beautiful. The seeker and the silent witness. So when you feel no motivation, when the world asks you to be busy and you cannot, when your heart whispers things that make no sense to the logical mind, remember this: you are not failing. You are forging. You are being refined by something older than time and wiser than thought. You are becoming the kind of person who does not just survive the darkness, but transforms within it. You are learning to hold paradox, to walk with humility, to trust the rhythm of your own becoming. And in this you are becoming the alchemist. Not of the world, but of your own soul. My dear listener, the fire within you is not gone. It is simply burning in a deeper chamber now. Do not rush this process. The self is calling you home. Not to do more, but to be more. In Jung's words, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens. And I say to Jung, you are not broken. You are blooming. Quietly, inwardly, eternally.